In this video, I want to share my favorite tool for checking fabric contrast. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts, and I have a tool that's with me pretty much all the time that works really well to make sure I have enough contrast between fabrics when I'm using them in a pattern. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about my handy dandy iPhone. All right, so if you've got a smartphone, you've got a camera on it, and I use this camera all the time in the quilt studio. And a lot of the time, it's for making sure I have enough contrast between the fabrics I've chosen for a particular pattern. So if I was working on a pattern, so for example, this one, which is one of my patterns called Christmas Lanterns, there is a star here, a friendship star in there, and you can see that there's quite a contrast between the fabrics there. Now, it doesn't have to be as much of a contrast as what I'm showing here, but there definitely has to be a contrast between those two fabrics in order to see that star motif. So let's take a look at some of the fabrics. Not that I necessarily could have pulled for that particular project, but for any other project where I'm wanting to make sure that there's a definite contrast similar to what there is in that friendship star. So let's take a look at these ones first. So I've pulled a bunch of green, blue kind of colors here in my fabrics, and I want to see if I've got enough contrast between them. Now, if you're looking at some of these, you can say, well, there's a lot of contrast between this green and this kind of aqua shade. Yes, there is. So if you take a picture of that, you probably don't need to really, but you could. It's definitely going to show up that contrast. But what about some of the other ones that are in here? So what about between these two fabrics, for example? How much of a contrast is there in there? Well, let's take our phone and check it out. So if I go into my phone under my camera app on this particular iPhone, I can click at the top here and it gives me color choices here. So if I swipe over to the side, I have several different no color choices, if you will, to take a photo of those fabrics. So I'm choosing the mono and I can snap a photo of it, but you can see here that there is definitely a contrast between those two fabrics, probably more so than you see when you look at them in real life. What about some of the other ones that I have here? What about contrast between these two fabrics? Is there enough? To the naked eye, there might be. But what if you look at it here? There is a bit of a contrast, but it kind of depends on what part of the fabric you're looking at. You can see this part here is hardly any contrast at all. So maybe not a good choice if you need a lot of contrast between the two fabrics. I mentioned earlier that you can definitely see the contrast between this lighter aqua and the darker green just with the naked eye. But let's just take a look at it here, and you can see there's definitely a contrast. So you could use those two in that friendship star block, for example. Now the other thing is that everybody sees color a little bit differently, and I think this is more obvious as you get older, quite frankly. And so using the camera on your phone can be a real help there for your eyes if you really are struggling. So when I look at this, to me, these ones on the end look darker. Are they really though? Definitely they are, but are they dark enough? These ones here, while you might think that there's a contrast between them, they all pretty much read the same value as you can see there. All right, so sometimes what fools us is the pattern that you see going on in these particular fabrics. But let's take out, for example, this fabric here, and you've got these three fabrics here. Let's take a look at those together and see what we're seeing here. It's like romper room, right? It's like looking in the magic mirror there. And so you can see there's a bit of a contrast between these two, but is it enough? Maybe not. But if I take that fabric out and put this one in, well, there definitely is enough of a contrast there that we could use those ones in that friendship star block. So if you are working with a pattern where you definitely have to have contrast between your fabrics, it's a good idea to get out your phone and go to the camera app, choose your monotone color, or the colorless one, if you will, as far as in the color areas there. So it takes out the color from it and you're just seeing how dark or how light the fabrics are. And I think you'll find that's a real help for you when you come to, I should say, pick fabrics for your patterns. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. And before you go, check out these other videos I've included just for you. For more helpful quilting information, please go to www.chatterboxquilts.com. Give her this.
No,
Give her this.
She's leaving.